Hey, just to get you caught up for this week, Elon Musk and some of his board members are being sued by a shareholder. We've got Chevy, who's now making their first production turbo Corvette. Talk about that later. Stellantis is going to make a $25,000 a $25,000 EV. Tesla has a big recall coming up for all of their models except for the Cybertruck. Nissan has issued a do not drive order for a few of their cars. The Supra and BMW Z4 are soon going to be axed. And there's going to be a different WRX variant coming out, but it's not going to have what you want it to have. Let's take a look. Okay, so first let's start with Stellantis. So I know that my last video last week touched on Stellantis quite a lot, and I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on Stellantis per se, but they did recently announce this week that they're going to be putting out a $25,000 EV, which is terrifying. And I think that's kind of the issue here, because if you look at any third-party tests that any company has done looking into the more unreliable vehicles, you're going to have a Stellantis product on that list, whether it be a Chrysler, whether it be a Jeep, whether it be a Dodge, whether it be a Ram, anything like that, you're going to have them be at the bottom of the barrel. And it's been that way for quite some time. So that's nothing new. Sorry if I'm the one to break that news to you. But it's terrifying that they're now making a $25,000 electric vehicle because they've got a lot of their issues in their electronics. So I don't understand. Hopefully they fix it. Hopefully everything's fine. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they're going to make some cheap EVs. That's going to be great because then they're going to have, that's going to drop down that lower EV cost, because right now I think the cheapest one is like 40, right around there. Cheapest EV for a brand new is around 40. So to get one at 25, that's going to be nice. Help kind of lower that cost, that average cost. But I just don't want them to do it. I want somebody else to do it. Because to me, that's kind of like, I don't know how to, let's say it's similar to somebody who is terrible at building houses. Everybody knows they're terrible at building houses, yet people still buy them because they're relatively expensive. Well, what if that company then came out and said, hey, we're now building a house even cheaper than what we were before. We're now going to build it, well, let's say we're going to build it for probably 30% cheaper than anybody else. And it makes you a little nervous because, once again, they don't have the best track record. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that they got things figured out. I hope that they're able to pull from their different companies over there in Europe that'll help kind of save some sort of EV technology. And I hope that, like I said, I hope it gets working. But realistically, it might not. Who knows? But let's move on to something a little happier. It's going to be the different WRX style coming out. So it's going to be the WRX TS, little t, big S, and they're going to say that stands for tuned by STI. STI is going to be their GT department. Basically, they think of it like that. So it's going to be their fancier, racing technology. Stands for Subaru Technica International. It's going to be kind of their race division. So that's why the Subaru WRX STI is more spicy, a little more race focused than the Subaru WRX, a little softer. So while they don't have an STI right now, this TS, you look at it on paper and you get all excited until you keep reading, keep looking at it, and it's going to be an upgrade into the suspension. It's going to be an upgrade into the brakes. Not necessarily, well, there's going to be a few visual bodywork stuff kind of sprinkled in there, but it's not going to be anything crazy. They're not going to jack up the boost or anything like that to make it more spicy. That's just going to be basically brake suspension. So I'm glad they're still working on it. They're not just going to let it die. But I wish they could get a little more ponies out of that engine, which the engine they have in there right now, that 2.4, it's a little more solid than their EJs used to be. And I think they are conservative on their tuning, which is going to be great. If we were to open that thing up, well, they have been opening it up and get more horsepower out of it. So I know that's a possibility. But if you already have the 2.4 in the WRX, what are you going to do for the STI when it comes out? Are you going to just boost the crap out of it? Are you going to make that same 2.4 liter, but just, 50, 60 more horsepower? What are you going to do? Are you going to go with a whole new engine? If they made a 3-liter turbo, that thing would scoot. That'd be so fast. I would love that, but I don't think they're going to do it. With them not really doing a whole lot with WRC, the whole, the World Rally, the thing going on, that's what kind of pushed them to improve throughout the years in the past. They're going to be having to use that race technology, kind of trickle it down, because they did have to have some homologation rules to make that car to begin with, meaning that you had to have a certain amount of WRXs made for the real world to use in order to get into that specific race. So with them not being in those categories anymore, I wonder if they just don't care. With the Evo, the Mitsubishi Evo being gone for quite some time as well, they don't have anybody to really compete against. I mean, maybe lower end Audis. I don't know. At this point, I don't think they really have a competitor, and that's what's kind of stalling their program. Is it's just not as sought after as it used to be, unfortunately, because I love those cars. Okay, now on to Tesla and their recalls. It's 125,000 vehicles they're going to recall, and it's going to be due to the seatbelt warning system. Basically, it's not going to light up on your dash telling you that if you don't have your seatbelt on, that type of thing, which is interesting because it's going to be all over all their cars, like I said to begin with, over all their cars except for the Cybertruck, from what I know, because that obviously is student, they probably get that fixed that way. But the interesting thing about Tesla is that they're going to fix it online. They're going to send out hot fixes, basically updates like your phone, like your computer, send it to the cars, they're going to update it, and then they should be good to go. And that, to me, is weird. I don't want to, sound like an 85-year-old man that's not really trusting that. But if you can remember when there was that big hurricane, the most recent large hurricane down in Florida, okay, and everybody was trying to then get up the peninsula, get away from the hurricane. And there were some, of course, EV people were worried about not having enough juice, enough range to get away from the tornado. Do you remember what Tesla did? Do you remember? Freaks me out. They got onto all their cars through the internet, and they gave them more range. By just clicking a few buttons and sending it. I don't know if they have like an economy mode. Can somebody with a Tesla help me out? I don't know if there's like some economy mode where they give them, 80% of the power they normally give them, now stretch it out. I don't know what they did, but you think if you have, let's just say mathematically, let's say you have 300 miles of range, and that's not enough to then get out of this hurricane, and then they give you more miles to get out. Why wouldn't they have that to begin with? Why wouldn't they say that it's, 350, 400 miles? Once again, just numbers, just mathematically speaking. Why are they holding back on that? Why are they sandbagging the mileage there? I don't understand it. But anyways, June is going to be the time where they're going to start rolling out those updates to get your seatbelt warning system figured out. You're going to be good to go. You're going to be safe. Now it's time for Nissan. So Nissan, they issued a do not drive order, basically a nice little CYA saying, hey, if you get in an accident and those Takata airbags explode and claymore you to death and basically kill you, we told you don't drive them. We told you don't drive them anymore. We said don't do it because they have these Takata airbags. I swear that was already fixed 10 years ago, decade ago. I remember that was a huge thing, and I thought they all got figured out. I guess they didn't. I guess some stuck through. Well, they say do not drive your older cars. 84,000 of them need to be recalled to get that Takata airbag changed out. But here's the funny part. That's probably mean. Sorry for saying it's funny. But here's the interesting part. That's what we'll say. Interesting, not bad. Interestingly enough, the cars they say are the 2002 to 2006 Nissan Sentra, 2002, 2004 Nissan Pathfinder, and 2002, 2003 Infiniti QX4. I don't know how many 2002 to 2006 Nissan Sentras there are moving. I would love to know the stats on that. If anybody knows, please tell me below in the comments. I guarantee you it's not much. And those ones that are moving, there's a high likelihood that they have been in a wreck. There's a high likelihood those airbags have already been changed out due to that wreck if the owner survived the airbag going off. Okay, so now we're going to talk about sneaky Elon and what he kind of did. So back in 2022, back in 2022, he was caught by an investor. And what they found out was that he sold $7.5 billion worth of stock for Tesla to then help cover his purchase of Twitter. Okay. So that, I guess that makes sense just hearing it that way, but how he did it was a little sneaky. So he sold it right before Tesla took a turn, and he's getting dinged by that because they're kind of considered it like an insider trading type of situation, which I guess it makes sense. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you exactly what's going on, with this case. I did a little bit of research, but that's kind of what is focused on, is that he sold this before it was public knowledge. But even more sneaky than that, he is quoted as saying that on a previous earnings call, he said that the fourth quarter will be record-breaking, and he said, we expect to sell every car we make as far in the future as we can see. Okay, so he's like, everything's good. We're selling them left and right. They're pretty much taking them from our factory. Well, you know what I mean? Everything's great. Wonderful. Well, he then said, he was bragging about saying that he had his finger on the pulse and that he had up to minute information. He said that we have our finger on the pulse and there's no latency. Basically, he knows everything that's happening right away. He's aware of it. He's checking that email every single day. Well, he then knew that things were not looking good. So for him to say everything's looking great, and then within a month or two after saying that, him dumping $7.5 billion worth of stock right before Tesla then took a dive, a little shady. It wasn't just him, it was him, and they said almost all the board members. So most of the board members and him, which just gets really sketchy. So I don't know. Buckle up, see what happens with that, but I don't like it. A little sketchy. So now let's move on to the Supra. We're going to be talking about the Supra and then the BMW Z4. So they are connected, as everybody knows. They're going to be connected in chassis and in heart with their engine, which is a lot of the Supra people are getting upset because it's not a 2JZ engine. It's not the original straight six turbo 2JZ, the Supra, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? They went with BMW because BMW currently makes a straight six turbo. So on a side note, would you Supra people be more upset if the Supra now didn't have a straight six? Or are you just upset that it's not a 2JZ straight six? Fight about that in the comments below. I'm going to have to look at it and see, because I don't think it's that big of a deal. But most of the people who complained about it didn't buy one. I think they were bound in the first place, but numbers have been terrible, and that is why they are cutting that off. So anyways, they're both in the same plant, the Supra and the Z4, and that is going to be shutting down, okay? And that's because, like I said, they didn't sell very well. There's a little sentence here. Since going on sale in 2019, the Supra has recorded a grand total of 24,022 deliveries in the U.S. That's the equivalent of a strong month's worth of Corolla sales. I know you can't really compare them, apples to apples there, but they didn't sell a whole lot. I've been in one. It was great. Loved it. Sounds wonderful. Fast, beautiful car. Love the back end on it. Sexy car. Looks great. Who cares if it's not a 2JZ? If you care that much, just buy it and put a 2JZ in it. Good to go. Anyways, so I'll be kind of sad to see that go in 2026, but I guess the market's spoken on that one, so see you later. Now we're going to talk about the Corvette. So the ZR1 Corvette specifically, that's going to be one of the spiciest trim models you can get. And this time, that is going to be with twin turbos. Twin turbo V8 making almost right around, the numbers are still kind of hazy. They said right around 900 horsepower, which is a bunch. That's going to be amazing. And from my research that I did, that's going to be the first ZR1 were the first Corvette to come from the factory with turbos. There were a few experimental versions they did, yada, yada, yada. But as far as mass production from Chevy, from the Corvette plant, I think this is the first one. Correct me if I'm wrong. The first one with turbos. Of course, companies like Callaway took them and they made turbo versions of it. But from the factory, from Chevy themselves, I think this is the first turbo Corvette, which is exciting. I'm so happy they kept it with the V8 and the turbos. Because if you remember Ford with their GT, they kept the V6 and then they did turbos. Chevy says, oh, no. We're going to keep the V8, throw some turb skis on there, and it's going to make around 900 horsepower. That's going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see it. So I know this isn't new news to have that ZR1 coming out, but it is new that they put out a little video about 13 hours ago, Chevy did, saying that unthinkable speed is coming, which the video is kind of cool. I put a little short on it. I did a short of it. So check out my shorts because it's in there. But you can hear the turbos going that one. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic. Great car. If you slow it down, there's the Corvette driving through the logo. If you pause it, it's got a big fat spoiler on there, a big fat park bench wing on the back, and I hope they do that. I love it when cars the cars that could use a big wing, a big spoiler, actually have one. I think that's amazing when they do it. Makes me happy. But that's it for this week. Let me know if I missed anything. Comment below if I made you upset with the Supra or the Stellantis. Stellantis people, I need your help on this. Why do you guys love Stellantis? But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you are subscribed so when we put up this show next week, you get a little reminder, pop up, let you know I have another beautiful video for you to watch about all this information of the car world. That way you just have to watch this one video, and you'll be up to date. You have to go search through the different videos, different posts, see what's happening. Just watch this video. I'll tell you all you need to know. Thanks, guys. Bye.